Imagine having to live with a life-threatening disease. Most people will feel afraid, defeated, or even angry. Axel Preston, on the other hand, took his diagnosis and turned it into an amazing game, Hyper Light Drifter. Development first started back in 2013, when he created a Kickstarter campaign for it. When someone manages to have a successful Kickstarter, most assume it was easy. But was it always like this? You see, Preston was born with congenital heart disease and has been in hospitals all throughout his life. In his words, "I've dealt with serious health issues since I was born. Congenital heart disease to start," he says. "A plethora of digestive and immune system problems have left me hospitalized on numerous occasions, often near death. This gives me a certain perspective on life and plays into the stories I want to tell." Throughout his life, he struggled with the difficult hand life dealt him. When he was in college, he used paintings and art to try to communicate his life with frail health and near-death experiences. "I made a lot of unsatisfying straight-up bad work," he says. "I think most art students should. I threw stuff at the walls to see what stuck, what resonated with me and my peers. It was incredibly helpful to make some trashy work that I eventually burned or gave away, as it made me a better artist, brought me closer to defining what I actually wanted to say with any of my work moving forward." He had open heart surgery when he was a baby and had a pacemaker installed a few years ago. He says, "I see my cardiologist every 6 months, as well as another for my cholesterol and pacemaker checkups. I just had a heart valve installed in November of 2015. I still struggle daily with diet, medications, trying to feel less like horrible garbage so I can get up and work on something." His experiences with doctors, heart issues, and medical devices led him to name his game studio Heart Machine. He thinks that the biggest component here is my ability to tell a story I can identify with, expressing something personal to a larger audience so I feel more connected and have an outlet for the many emotions that crop up around life-altering issues. He combined this with his love of games like Zelda or Diablo, in which he really enjoyed the exploration and the strategy in combat that those games provided. That way, after being mostly an animator, he embarked on a journey to develop his own game with the theme being a protagonist suffering from a terminal disease. He was originally planning to release the game for PC through a Kickstarter campaign in September of 2013 and wanted to secure $27,000 of funding. Prior to his campaign, he got some help from a programmer called Bio Bleeth, creator of games like Samurai Gun, and a musician called Disasterpiece, who made the soundtrack for the game Fez and the It Follows movie. The Kickstarter campaign was a huge success because of its similarities with some older games and the unique art style and music that was very atmospheric. The game got more than $100,000 after just a few days. When this happened, Preston added stretch goals to include release for multiple consoles and other bosses and enemies. The game ended up securing funding of $645,158. So with all that money, he was able to hire more developers to help him port to the other consoles. This allowed for him to increase the size of the scope beyond what he had originally imagined. Because of that, the release date of the game was changed from the mid-2014 to the second quarter of 2016. During development, he found some fellow indie developers around the Los Angeles area and decided to build an open office space called Glitch City. In this space, indie developers could come in and work together on their own games. Most importantly, they could share their ideas and play test each other's games. This was huge in the success of Hyper Light Drifter, as it allowed for the team to bounce off ideas and make sure that the player experience was spot on. Some of the developers who are part of this are Bendon Chung, creator of Quadrilateral Cowboy, and Ben Esposito, creator of Downut County. In Preston's words, "No longer lonely, we can console one another, provide support in many ways, and build a larger community to host positive events and foster other work we're fascinated by." Preston also received letters from fans encouraging him after learning about his health problems. This helped influence him to change the story of the game to not only make the disease affect only the protagonist, but also other characters in the game. The game was developed in the engine Game Maker Studio, which is interesting. It shows that you don't need the most powerful engine to create an amazing experience. They created a level editor inside the engine, so it allowed anyone to create anything they wanted in the game. It was great to prototype all the player abilities and systems, even if some of the developers didn't have any programming experience. This also allowed for faster iteration when playtesting the game. The game was released in March 31st of 2016, and it was released to critical acclaim by a lot of publications, citing the game's graphics as very stylish and unique, the music as very intoxicating and atmospheric, and the overall experience being rich and thoughtful. However, some players thought the game was too hard, which led the team to release an easier mode in a patch. This led to some criticism in the community, because some people thought it should have remained hard, while others liked the update. There have also been other things that they have added, like the ability to play in co-op mode, which was received favorably by the community. The main criticism of the game was the way in which it did storytelling. A lot of people thought it was too abstract, and didn't understand much of what was going on in the game without some help from the community. On the other hand, there were some people who also liked this approach, because it left the story's meanings to interpretation. The game was so successful that Hard Machine is now hard at work in development of their next title, which is now in full 3D. It is called Solar Ash, and it is set in the same universe as Hyper Light Drifter. The expected release date for this game is 2021. Preston and his team still plan to take his emotions and make games with them. I have a deep need to keep funneling my personal nightmares and frustrations into my work, he says. It keeps me functioning. I don't think I can avoid it. And that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. What do you like about Hyper Light Drifter? Please let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you like this video, please subscribe and share it with your friends. See you next time!